Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode. I feel like I say that every time, amazing episode, because all the episodes are amazing. I have to find another word to use. Anyway, welcome to another amazing episode of the Damien and Tamisha Show, and I'm super excited today to have this amazing guest on our show today because you guys out there that are entrepreneurs, you need to be lawyered up, and we get asked questions so many times about protecting your business and all that mumbo jumbo that goes into having a legit business, what to do when people copy your stuff. Yeah, we're getting down and dirty in this episode to talk about how to protect yourself from all that.
Welcome to the Damien and Tamisha Show. Each week, power couple Damien and Tamisha are taking you behind the scenes with successful influencers to share their secrets on creating a successful brand and tackling your biggest business and relationship struggles. Their mission, to help you see whatever you want is possible. Build the business and life of your dreams today.
We have the beautiful Nakia Gray with us. Hello, Nakia.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited. We finally got you on the show. I've been coming down for a long time. But we finally got her on the show. Nakia is an intellectual property attorney. She helps entrepreneurs and artists with entertainment contracts, copyrights, trademarks, and building and protecting their online businesses. So you definitely want to be tuned into what we're talking about today, because if you're listening to this, you fall in that category. Nakia Gray is the CEO and founder of Nakia Gray Legal, and she has a virtual law firm, which is dope because that means she can help you wherever you are. So make sure you're paying attention to where she's at. And Nakia really helps. What I like about Nakia is that she helps creative entrepreneurs and artists establish their brand and build a profitable business by protecting and leveraging their creative work. Now that's amazing because it's very hard, even for myself, when I was looking for, legal advice to figure out what to do. I actually reached out to Nakia like, hello, I need some help. I'm trying to figure out how to trademark my stuff because all these chicks out here are copying me. So it's very difficult to find a lawyer that really understands the business of entrepreneurship. So Nakia is definitely a gem. I want to welcome you once again to the show.
Thank
you.
So
why don't you tell the amazing folks that's listening what it is that you do and how you help them?
Sure. So I am an entrepreneur at heart. I probably started my first little business about 7 or 8 years old, babysitting. And I just always have been that kind of person to create my own and wherever I am. So I've had, you name it, I have sold it. I've done every multi-level marketing company you could ever think of. I've sold everything from tea to body wraps to body magic to girdles to travel to, in fact, when I was in college, I even did prepaid legal, which is
oh wow.
So I've just always been that kind of person. But after I went to law school, I went to Howard University School of Law. Woo, woo, woo,
nice.
I went to Howard, and when I graduated, I had interviewed with a lot of different law firms, and I was just shocked at the little bit of money that these people wanted to pay me. I was just like, no, I can't see that. I can't do that. So I started my own practice right out of school against the advice of everybody, because people say, oh, who's going to hire you? You're new. Nobody knows you. Well, when you can build a brand, you can be whoever you say you are, okay? So that is one thing that I say to my clients. A lot of times I get clients that are either transitioning from one field to another. You two are models of being able to do that. You can be whatever you want to be. You can say, okay, starting now, I'm a lawyer. I've got my firm, and I had the confidence and the ability to market myself, and I got clients and was very successful. So I did a lot of litigation initially, and I just got really tired and burnt out, and I was away from my family. And so I enrolled in this. I knew that there was something with the internet, okay? There was something about this online world. People were making money. People had freedom as long as they had their laptop and Wi-Fi. And I was like, I got to get me an online business. Now, remember, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I'm like, whatever business it is, if I use my law degree, great. If I don't, that's fine too.
Right.
So I enrolled in Marie Forleo's B School, online program. And I'm telling you, I'm in B School. I don't know what my business is. I'm just learning, I'm going to find some online business. And all of these people in the class we had a Facebook group. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a day that went by that people didn't have a legal question. Somebody stole my ebook. Somebody did this. Oh, how do I trademark? How do I do this? Oh, I need a contract for this. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. It's like God smacked me over the face like, girl, you better be a lawyer for these people. There's your online business right there.
That's it.
It just hit me like, oh my God, I can do this online, and I can be an online lawyer for online business owners. Mm-hmm. And so that's really how I got started. And it went so fast, I couldn't even keep up with it myself, because people were tagging me in every Facebook group. Every time somebody had a legal question, to this day, people tag me in things. And so that's really kind of how I got started. And I just absolutely love it, because I have a marketing and business background. It just doesn't feel like work to me. So I'm able to understand what my clients are going through. I understand that you just want to be creative, and you just want to do your music, or you just want to do hair, or you just want to do whatever it is that's your art, but there's a business side to it. There's legal stuff that you don't know, and what you don't know can definitely hurt you when it comes to running your business. And the truth is, you don't know what you don't know. So you really need to have a lawyer that you can find out. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, Nakia, you dropped some amazing gems. The word amazing again.
That's our word for today. Amazing.
One of the things that really stood out to me was what you said. If you're able to brand yourself and build a powerhouse brand of yourself and believe in yourself, that gives you the ability to stand alone in your own greatness.
Yes.
Number one. And two, you said something that was really huge too. You know, there's so many people that are in between jobs, don't like what they're currently doing. And you have not only been able to create your own brand, but it allowed you to also leverage technology and what I call build a location-free business.
And isn't that the best? I mean,
yes.
Like what we all, and there were many people, the same way there were people that said, don't start that practice out of school. There were people that said, you can't do business. People want to go to a nice fancy office. No, they don't. I meet them right here on Zoom, and I can be in Miami, I can be in Atlanta, I can be at Starbucks, I can be at home. Yesterday I was at home in my bed and I had meetings. So, technology is so important, and those people that have not embraced it and leverage it, social media is free for the most part.
Right.
Facebook has gotten hip to us, okay?
Yeah,
so
they're killing us. They're killing my pockets right now. That's a whole nother story.
Even when you think about it, it's still cheaper than a billboard, right?
Absolutely.
That only the people that drive on that highway are going to see. So even though we do have to pay for our advertising on Facebook and Instagram and some of these other social media networks, it still has allowed us to be able to reach so many more people. So for people not using it, y'all got to give it the program.
Yeah.
And the impact that it has. Like you said, you're in Washington, D.C., and you're able to touch people all over the country.
The world. Even over the world. There are lots of people, even outside of the U.S., who do business here. So they need U.S. trademarks. I've had many clients in London, New Zealand, file for trademarks here in the U.S. because guess what? They're an online business. And once you're online, you're everywhere. If you're an online business owner, you do business everywhere. You do business in the whole world.
Absolutely.
So being able to protect your brand is something that reaches people. I get clients. If the only way I could represent you was that you had to come to my office in downtown D.C., I wouldn't have nearly as many clients. But those people that are in New Zealand that I've had, the people that I've had in London that I've done trademarks for, they never met me. Mm-hmm. But they need a U.S. trademark because they're doing business online. And like you said, people are copying. People will take your stuff.
Yes.
They'll take your stuff knowing that you have a lawyer.
So let's jump into that, because I know that is a heavy topic for me, and I know that's a heavy topic because the industry is so saturated with a lot of people doing the same exact things, and and we all have access to each other and what everyone else is doing. Yeah, exactly. And I was gonna say, you find yourself, looking at other people's stuff, and maybe your intention is not to copy. I mean, some people will literally cut and paste
Some people
and save your stuff and upload it on their website. But then some people get inspired. I'm putting quotations over that word.
Fine line between inspiration. There is, because sometimes it's just inspiration and then it's infringement.
Absolutely.
Fine line in between those.
Before let me take it back one step, because some people out there that are listening might not even realize the importance of protecting your business. So I want to take a few minutes to even talk about why you should be protecting your business. And it's not just because of people stealing your stuff, right? So can you talk about that for a little bit?
Sure. So of course, when it comes to business and brand protection, there's several things that we need to do to make sure that we're protecting it. What I like to tell people is think of it as insurance for your business, right? If you have a physical location and you sell clothing or jewelry or whatever it may be, you're going to have insurance to make sure that your inventory is protected if someone breaks in, if there's a fire, if there's a flood, right? So we have to do the same thing with our intellectual property, okay? Our intellectual property are those things that we create. It's those intangible things like that great idea, that 7-step plan that business coach has to get you to 6 figures. That's intellectual property. And so that logo, that tagline, the name of that program, that event that you put on every year that you bring thousands and thousands of people to, all of that is your property. It is your inventory. And so the way that we protect it is by copywriting, by trademarks, by contracts, and by forming an entity. Those are the 4 major ways that now there are some other add-ons that you could go to, but if we just want to stay on a basic level, those are the 4 things that every business owner needs to know about. Because when it comes to, being a business owner and having an entity, the reason we do that is to protect our personal assets, right? So if someone, and I know nobody wants to think about being sued, right? I hope that you never are, but the chances are if you're going to be successful, you will at some point. And so and sometimes it may not even be your fault. I had a client, a photographer, wedding photographer, that called me a couple of weeks ago, and he's being sued for intentional infliction of emotional distress because he missed the flight and he was unable to make it or the cruise for this destination wedding and take these people's photos. Well, to that bride, you've ruined her life. She can't ever get that back, right? Now, did he mean to do that? No, it wasn't intentional. So putting aside the merits of the case and whether that bride is going to be successful, the point is that anytime there's a lawsuit, it's a damage to your brand. Mm-hmm. The time that you're going to have to expend to defend it, the money that you're going to have to hire an attorney to defend it, where it could have been avoided with a simple clause in a contract. There's a simple clause in a contract that could have, and he didn't have that. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it wasn't his fault. But this happens to anybody. From hairstylists. I mean, look, when it comes to our beauty, you mess me up, we gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
So if you don't have an entity and you are sued, and a judge or a jury finds that you are liable to that person, if you haven't formed an entity, your personal assets are up for grabs in that lawsuit. Who is in business to do that? Nobody. We didn't work this hard to just throw it away. So if you have an entity, the reason that we call it, it's to limit your liability. That means that the liability or the amount that they can recover is limited to the assets that the business has. So for most of us, especially if we're online, our business assets are our bank account, because we may not necessarily have a building and inventory or that kind of thing. So if all you have in your bank account is $500, that's all they could get. But if you have $500 in your business account and $5,000 in your personal, guess what? They're coming after that personal too, or that car or your home. And it's just not worth it. So that's why we have entities, to make sure that we are limiting our liability when it comes to lawsuits. And that is so, so, so important.
It's just unfortunate because we have these conversations all the time with clients and we let them know about the liability involved, what you can actually lose if you are sued, or, and no one takes that action. What is the mindset that these people, that business owners need to have in order to start creating these businesses and making it a priority for their business?
Well, I think that if you're in it for the long haul, and it kind of goes back to, not to be cliche or corny, but we hear a lot of talk about your why. Why are you doing this? And for many of us, it's our families. It's the legacy that we want to live.
Mm-hmm.
For our children, it's our spouse. For some people, it is to bring their spouse home so that they can work together, or to take care of their parents, or whatever it is. Whatever that why is, when you really think about that and you go through the process of saying, okay, I'm doing this it's bigger than me. This business is bigger than the money. It's bigger than this. It's bigger than that. I'm doing this for someone else. Then you want to do it to the fullest. You want to be serious. You got to make it official. And so I never understand. I can't even tell you. I could tell y'all stories all day of how many people come to me after the fact, and that little money that you thought you were saving by not doing it from the beginning, you're now spending 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times as much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it happens all the time. Just for the most part, it's something small. It's something really small that you could have done. So I say, from the beginning, talk to people that know what they're doing. A good lawyer and a good accountant, because those are the two things. You got to have that, because at the end of the day, you are doing this for money. You are doing this to be around for some time. Now, if you just hustling and it's just a hit it and quit it, well, take your chances. Mm-hmm. But if you are investing and you're expecting people to invest in your business, you've got to be willing to do it.
Now, I know that a lot of people are intimidated by the process. Like when you say words like lawyer, attorney, accountant, people like, oh, taxes. People like, oh, they kind of jump back. And we also have a tax business. So we understand, that's a sensitive topic for people. But at the same time, people kind of shy away from it. And I know even thinking about hiring a lawyer, bringing on an attorney, seems, for entrepreneurs, especially that are starting their businesses or bootstrapping their businesses, without even doing the investigation on the investment and the cost, they're automatically assuming that it's something that they can't afford.
Right.
So for somebody to actually protect their business, and we talked a little bit about limited liability. So first, I want to ask you, what do you think, or what is your suggestion on the best way to protect your business, or what type of entity should an entrepreneur get? And then what does that, investment look like for them, so they can wrap their heads around it, so they can see maybe it's not what you think it is?
Right. That's a great question. And so the most common are going to be a corporation or an LLC, limited liability company. LLC is like everyone's favorite. People love to form an LLC. And sometimes it's appropriate. Sometimes it's not always the best. So within the corporation, as you all know, there are lots of write-offs and things that you get by being a corporation. And you can be an S Corp, which will allow you to get a lot of those protections that the big corporations, we think about Google, Amazon, Target. Mm-hmm. And then there's the LLC. And so the first piece of advice that I can give anyone is to talk to both a lawyer and an accountant, because we kind of have a love-hate relationship, right? Because what I believe to be the best for you, remember, as a lawyer, I'm coming from a liability standpoint. It is not my job to talk about your finances. That's just not what I do. So, and whenever I'm advising clients about entity, I say, well, from a legal standpoint, this is what would be best for us, but talk to your accountant, because depending on the type of business, what your anticipated revenues are, there are different things. I give a general benchmark. I say if you are between $200,000 and $250,000 a year in revenue, then you may want to consider an S Corp. Mm-hmm. When you get to that place, you're making a lot of money and you are missing a lot of write-offs. Okay. That's the extent of my financial advice. Okay. And so I usually say to people, when you're first starting out, sometimes being a sole proprietor, it's not the end of the world, especially if you're in a business like being a lawyer, where we have to carry malpractice insurance. If there's insurance that goes along with your business, then if you're sued, it's going to be the insurance paying it anyway. So it's not quite as detrimental to having an entity. So a lot of my hairstylists, I work with a lot of people in the beauty industry. So a lot of hairstylists or salon owners, they have to carry so much insurance anyway that if they hadn't formed an entity, I wouldn't beat them over the head. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to get them there, but it's not as detrimental as someone who's doing something like coaching or something like that, or putting on events. I'm always shocked at how many people do events and don't think about, well, what if you've got all these people have paid for this keynote speaker and you don't have a contract with the speaker and they don't show up?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that happens?
Mm-hmm.
Even when they sign contracts, sometimes.
Yeah, even when they sign contracts. So you've got to be protected because now you put yourself out there.
Yes.
You know? And so, I'm always amazed at people. It's like you're going to pay this person usually a really nice size check. I mean, if you can get into speaking, you can make some good money going to speaking at these conferences. But the fact of the matter is the person who's putting it out there and hasn't trademarked it, you got 5,000 people coming and you haven't trademarked the event. So I can go and take that name and make some T-shirts and sell them. How does that happen? It happens.
It happens all the time.
It happens all the time. So for most states, when you form your entity, filing an LLC or corporation, usually you're going to be between $100 and $200. That's the filing fee. To have a lawyer to do it for you, it's probably going to be anywhere from $400 to $700 for the most part. There are some that'll be a little bit more than that. I mean, I would say if they're charging you more than $1,000, they're probably really on the high side. This is not a very difficult type of thing to do. What I like to tell people, if finances are an issue for you, educate yourself, try it yourself, and then hire an attorney to check behind you. That's always cheaper. So say to find an attorney. They can file it for you. And if they say, okay, I would charge you $800 to do this, then say, okay, if I do it myself, how much would you charge me for a consultation to review it for me? It's probably going to be $150, $200, $250. That's a big difference.
Absolutely.
So in the beginning, do that. I get so many people daily that either try to found a contract on LegalZoom or someplace online, or they're filing, trying to do something on their own, and they just pull me in to say, hey, let's take a look at this. Did I do this right? And I will charge them to do that. Usually, anywhere from $200 to $300 or something that is not as much as it would be for me to do it. And that's exactly why I have those options available for those people that want to DIY it. I've got contract templates that you can download and purchase. I am working on a whole suite of mini courses to walk you through your entity, trademarking, copywriting, because I understand that it's not always, that everybody doesn't have $5,000 to get a lawyer to do all of that stuff for them.
Right.
And so, but even if you can't do it, you can always try and then hire a lawyer for just for a consultation and get the most out of it. Come prepared. I love when people get with me and they got like a whole list of questions. They're like, okay, how many minutes we got? And they're going to get the most for their money. I love that. I mean, that's exactly what you should do.
I think the beauty about, most business owners, they're strapped for cash, but they prioritize what they want to spend their money on.
Yeah.
And what I will say is hiring a lawyer, hiring an accountant will give you that peace of mind that is going to be done right.
Right. And I'll say, do piecemeal. You may not be able to do everything right away, but do small steps. Get a few clients under your belt or make a little bit of money and then reinvest back into your business and continue to do that.
Yeah. So let's get into the big question about protecting your stuff.
The copycat.
So what do you do when, I'll give you my scenario. I had a couple of people, but one in general that I know for a fact was not only taking my content, so my text from my website and putting it on her website, but she was also copying my images. And I knew they were my images because I created them. Like, this is not a stock photo, boo-boo. Right. I created this with my hard blood, sweat, and tears. And I don't know how I think somebody else brought it to my, you did. He brought it to my attention. And he didn't even realize it was my stuff. He was just like, oh, look, he was making fun of the whole situation. Like,
no, I knew it was your stuff.
No, you didn't. Listen, I looked at that and I was like, this is mine.
She says that I tell bad stories, but here was what happened. The person started following me on Instagram, and I checked them out to see if they were a possible client that I would coach. So as I was going through their website, I saw actual work that she did, like it was actually hers. And then I brought it to her attention. That's the true story.
And whatever. He wasn't 100% sure that was literally my stuff. It sounded like me, it looked like me, and I think that's why he brought it to my attention. But I was like, no, this is mine. And so I see a lot of that stuff happening, especially with my, when I started my business and I had the Bombshell Business Academy, and everywhere you turn, everybody now is a bombshell, and they're using the same exact logo as mine. I mean, everything was just like, it was too much, to the point where I fell back. And I was like, I can't do this. This is too much. Everybody's looking the same way. These people are copying me. I don't know what to do. So what would you say, or what would be your advice to somebody who has a situation like that, where they see their work being duplicated in social media, online? How do they go about protecting themselves?
Okay, so the first thing is we want to do some things in the beginning to, first of all, let me say this. I don't have an answer for how you can avoid people from copying you. That's the first thing. So the first thing is to just have that come to Jesus moment, where you understand that you are going to be copied. There are people that are going to do it, but our job is to figure out how to prevent it or reduce the chances, and then how do we handle it? Okay, so the first thing is we want to put copyright notices on your website. There's something about thieves, most of the time, especially when they're copying and pasting, they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. This isn't by accident. They know what they're doing. But when they see your copyright notice on your website, or they look in your terms and conditions and you have a statement about, because sometimes it's okay to share. We don't want you to not share.
Right.
You should have a rights and permissions policy on your website that says, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. And so because trust me, when they're stalking you, they're reading every page on your website, because they might even copy and paste your terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have that, it makes them think twice. Like, she might not be the one to play with. I'm not. So you're not gonna get there's gonna be some bold ones now. There's gonna be some bold ones that's gonna still try you. But there's gonna be some people that are gonna read that and say, you know what? I don't think I want to mess with her. Okay, so that's the first thing, is that we want to have the copy. And by copyright notice, what I mean is that little encircled C on your website, the year and your name. Okay, and then you want to update that every year. So if you started your website in 2014, it would say copyright 2014 Bombshell Business Academy, and then by now it would say 2014 through 2017. So every year you want to update that. So that's one thing. The other thing is if you have downloadable, like my templates or any checklists or anything that people get from me, there's a small disclaimer on there that tells them you better not try to reproduce this. There's language. It's just it's just something that, like I said, we won't get everybody, but we'll get a lot of people, because when people see that you're serious, they better not mess with her. You know? So that's the first thing. Now, if we get how do we address those bold people? There's really two things you could do. One, you can send a cease and desist letter, either through a lawyer or yourself, where we give them the benefit of the doubt. I usually give people the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, you're probably totally unaware of this, but all of the information on your about page is exactly the same as my client. So we're going to give you 24 hours to take it down. If you don't, then we will file a Digital Millennium Copyright Act notice with your internet service provider and have it removed from your website, and possibly get your whole website shut down. That usually does the trick. Most people are going to say, oh, sorry. And
just to have an attorney powered behind you says a lot. And I mean, you made a great point. I mean, because I've seen it, people still duplicate, but have your Jesus moment. Understand that people are going to steal, but you made a great point to mitigate that risk of people copying, or bringing that rate down, so to speak.
Exactly. So we can do that, or if it's somebody that you just have a zero tolerance for, you say, you know what? Screw that. I'm not giving them a chance. I'm going straight for a DMCA takedown notice. Okay. And so that process, what we do is we first have to figure out who their site is hosted by. Okay. And we do that by going to a website called whois.com. But you basically want to do a whois lookup. So it'll tell you, is it Bluehost, GoDaddy, SiteGround, whoever. And then that's step number one. Step number two is we go to the Copyright Office website, which is copyright.gov. And there's a list of all of the internet service providers and who is their lead person that you're going to send this takedown notice to. So let's say it's GoDaddy. We go on there. We get GoDaddy's email and the name. Let's say it's John Doe. We're going to send a takedown notice to John Doe that says, on this website is my content, my image, my this, my whatever, my content. I am the owner of that copyright. They do not have permission. I want it taken down. And they will take it down. They're not going to ask them. They're not going to get them a chance. They will take it down immediately. The same thing with Instagram or Facebook. You can go right and report it and it will be taken down. So, and so there's two sides to this coin though, because we also have an obligation to make sure we're not doing it. Okay. Right. So by the same token, don't do it. If you didn't create the image, don't put it on your website. And because I'm giving you the nice version of this, but mess around and get a Getty image. They coming for you. Okay? Oh, yes. They don't play. And their cease and desist letter is going to say, give me $800. That's how much we licensed this for. You decided to do a license on your own. So I want $800 or $2,000 or I've seen it as high as $8,000.
Oh, wow.
They're not playing. It's not to be played with. Intellectual property is very serious. And so you cannot use people's stuff. You can't.
Yeah, it's bad out in these streets. But to your point, I mean, it has to go both ways. You know, you see things, you get inspired. Again, there's those quotations and you put things on your site. But I think the nuggets that you shared with us today are amazing. Here we are again. Ding, 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 ding. And we should do
that's the theme of the day.
Yeah, we need to have what's the guy's name? Andy Cohen.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
How many times he said amazing?
He says amazing. So yeah, you'll be drunk on this episode. So I'm glad you shared that because I know that a lot of people struggle with that. I personally have struggled with that. I want to talk a little bit about trademarking because with trademarking, and I know when you and I spoke many years ago about trademarking, and I wanted to trademark the Bombshell Business Academy, there's certain rules and laws about trademarking certain phrases, certain words. So can you share a little bit about how that process works?
Sure. So the first thing that I tell my clients and everyone is trademarking starts at the very beginning. When you're thinking of the name of the business, the name of the program, the name of the event, the name of anything, approach it with the trademarking in mind. And the reason why is because if your name is too general or it's already being used or it's too close to something that's already out there, you're going to have trouble. So that's a little test that we do, not only to see, I made up this word, trademarkable. I know that's probably not in the dictionary, but is it trademarkable? Is it trademark worthy? And so when you do go through that process, one of the things that you're going to do is checking to make sure that it's not already trademarked. Because if it is, not only is it not trademarkable, you're in danger of infringing on someone's trademark if it's too close. So, so those buzzwords, I know that naturally our human nature is to go toward what's hot right now. And we want to pick those things that we want to pick things that when people hear it, they know what it is. But those are the worst. Those are the least likely to get trademark protection. When you think about Google, what is a Google? We don't know it to mean anything other than Googling. That's why it's such a strong trademark. The same with Starbucks. Those are things that are so the more arbitrary and unrelated to something else, you want to give that brand its own identity. But picking words like bombshell, passion to profit, purpose-driven, all of that kind of done. Boss, up, boss down, all
exactly. all
it's
over the place.
Just not, and because here's what's going to happen. You're going to spend your life sending people cease and desist letters.
Yeah.
Everyone's using it. And the government, let me say this, and I love to tell people this because people don't know this. Trademarking is ingrained in consumer protection. As business owners, we like to think that it's about us and our brand. That's not what trademarking was designed to protect consumers, so that when consumers see a brand, see a logo, whatever feeling or experience they are used to getting from purchasing that, they can't be duped. Okay, so Louis Vuitton is a great example because God knows there's tons of infringement going on with them. But because Louis Vuitton has built a brand and an experience and a feeling associated with purchasing their luxury goods, the reason why the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office granted them a trademark is so that if someone sees that LV sign, they think or they understand that they're getting that value and that experience that they are accustomed to. But if they go to Canal Street or Georgetown, it may not be. And so the government they didn't give Louis Vuitton a trademark to protect them. It's to protect the consumer. So that if I am from London and I've never been to New York and I see this Louis Vuitton for $250 on Canal Street, and I think, oh, I'm getting this luxury, Italian leather that will not change and will not have straggles and and everyone's going to think that I'm, Kim Kardashian.
Mm-hmm.
The government wants me to be protected in that purchase. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you think about it like that, it changes your whole perspective.
Absolutely.
So that means if you have something that's too close to something else, the government doesn't want the customer to be confused. They want the customer to understand, if I'm exchanging my money for this Canal Street Louis Vuitton, this is the same one that I could get over on Fifth Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And so so they're not going to give you one if there's a chance that a customer who interacts with your brand is going to think that they're interacting with another brand.
Nice. I never even thought about it that way at all. I'm glad you shared that because it does put a different perspective.
It puts a different perspective on it when you think about it that way. It's a consumer protection background. That's really where it comes from. As business owners, we like to think, oh, it's so that everybody can know it's mine. Well, it is for everyone to know it's yours, but it's really so that your buyers, or those people that are investing in your brand, know that when they see that slogan or that logo or any of that they're getting what you have promised them, not some fake.
Right. So in the case of, let's just go back to my situation the example that we gave. So in the case of that, where somebody is copying my stuff or whoever's stuff, and I don't have a trademark, mm-hmm. and we go through the process of sending the cease and desist, will something like that stand up because it wasn't trademarked at that time?
That's a great question. So trademarking, trademark rights are acquired two ways. One, we call, there's a legal term called common law. And what that means is that I never really filed to register it, but I've been using it. Okay. So you can have common law trademark rights just by being the first to use something. And so sometimes, and I send cease and desist letters on common law trademark rights all the time. So the reason why we trademark it federally and actually file for the registration is for proof, so we don't have to argue about who used it first. Okay, so it's really about putting the world on notice that it's yours. So you can acquire trademark rights for something just by using it. But again, the test is going to be, did you even have the right? Were you really first? Is it confusingly similar? That the test is confusingly similar. Is it confusingly similar with a registered mark? So one thing you want to do before you pick your name, go to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website, uspto.gov, and do a search. And don't search your full name because it's only going to come, it's very literal. Okay, so let's use, it's Bombshell Business Academy. Mm-hmm. If I was doing a search for that, if I said, if you came to me and said, okay, I think I want to start this academy, I'm going to call it Bombshell Business Academy. When I go to search it, I'm not going to search Bombshell Business Academy because that means that only if Bombshell Business Academy exists, it's going to show up. But what if somebody has Bombshell Business School? Well, you don't want to have Bombshell Business Academy because guess what? You're going to get sued.
Right.
Okay. So you got to be creative in your search. I would first search Bombshell.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bombshell. Let me see how much is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Bombshell. And it's a lot. Okay.
Yeah,
the other thing is with business, you got lots, people are creative in spelling. So it might be Bombshell Biz Academy. You see what I mean? So we got to use different variations. So start with that first word because if you do the first word, everything containing that word is going to come up so that you can see what's out there. What's too close? Bombshell Business Breakthrough. Well, Bombshell Business Academy is too close to that. So even though it's not exact, I would say to you, you don't want to mess with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that we do the confusingly similar test, what I say to my clients is, if your client saw this other person's name, would they think maybe you had expanded or maybe you're doing something a little different? If the answer is yes or maybe, it's too close. So in the example that I use, let's say that there's a Bombshell Business Breakthrough. Maybe somebody has a Bombshell Business Breakthrough. That's their coaching section, sessions. And then you want to do Bombshell Business Academy. Would someone who sees that knows you as being Bombshell Business Academy, if they saw her Facebook ad, Bombshell Business Breakthrough, would they say, oh, look, Tamisha doing breakthroughs now?
Yeah, it just creates a huge level of confusion.
Yeah.
So and if the answer is maybe, then it's too close.
Right.
And one of the things,
right.
like you see some, like especially in the women's empowerment movement, is everybody sounds the same. It's boss this, boss that, bomb. Well, not really
he
too much.
hates that word so bad.
Oh man, it's just
he
ridiculous.
used it for one of our courses, and he nearly slit my rib. We're not calling it boss.
And it's funny, not to go off on a tangent. It's like, when you get coaching from some of the big dogs, coaching from us, like I've always been that person that wanted to have that purple cow. So like I've come up with so many ambiguous names.
That's the best way to do it.
But that's not what the big dogs tell you. They tell you, well, you got to speak the language of the client. And I've always felt that when once you do that, you fall back into that saturation.
Right.
So yeah.
It's a tough thing. I mean, it's a balance between brand, it's a part of it is branding. And like I say to people, maybe no one else is using it exactly the way you want to, but do you want to stand out or do you want to? And sometimes the answer is that you're fine with being in with the pack because not everything that everyone creates is for longevity. That's just
and the perfect example that you brought up was Google.
Yeah.
Google took the word Google. No one knows what the hell that word means. Right. And they said, this is what it's going to mean. And talking about branding.
Talk about strong
branding. Go Google that. You don't even know what that means.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the level of vision that we stand for. Like, and I just can't stand these names that make you fall into this bowl of saturating oil. It's ridiculous.
It is. But it's short-lived.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, for example, with Bombshell, right? Not so much anymore. A couple of years ago, hot word. Everybody was using it. And then people just move on to something else.
Right.
Now it's badass. That's another one that just
yes.
my soul. Irks my soul.
Well,
everybody's a badass.
And like you said, if you go into it knowing that it's short-lived.
And they want that because, whatever floats your boat. If that's what you want, that's fine. But just know the consequences to using a word like that. And I know.
And being able to trademark it. And some people, I've had clients that are fine with not being able to trademark it. They just want to get in and get out.
Right.
So just know set your goals in the beginning.
And it segues back to what you said about your why and what Tamisha and I teach. One of the biggest fundamentals, if not the most important, is what is your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you creating this name? What is it? And if it's legacy driven, these names that everybody use is just not It's just not where it is.
Right. And I always like to tell people when they ask me about when we have clients and they're forming their businesses and they're trying to come up with these cute, sexy names. I mean, I love my Bombshell. I got Bombshell plastered in gold around my office. I'm never going to get rid of that. But if you look at our brand is our names. That's never going to change.
That's safe.
And that's safe. Because
safe.
Exactly, it's safe. And I always tell people, think about the longevity. Is this going to be a word that you're going to get tired of hearing, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line? I'll never get tired of hearing my name. Mm-hmm. So I will continue to use my name in what I do.
And our why behind that is to create world-class powerhouse brands. So when you hear our names, like you said earlier, you know what you're getting.
Know what you're getting. Exactly.
Absolutely. So this was amazing. Again, ding, 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 amazing. Take a drink. This was amazing because you really share. The stuff that you shared, somebody got to pay $300 to sit with somebody and get that type of advice. Mm-hmm. So you guys are getting this amazing advice for free. So, Nakia, by wrapping up, I just want to share one piece of it. I don't even know if I should even ask you to share one. We always like to close by asking people to share one piece of advice, but you gave like 28 pieces of advice. So I don't even know if we need to ask that. So we'll cut that. You guys listen to the show. She gave tons of advice in the show. Tell the people out there where they can find you, because I know they need you and they need some legal advice. So please share.
Yes. So I have a website. My website is nakiagray.com. That's NAKIAGRAY.com. I am on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Nakia Gray ESQ. I am also going to send you a link to a legal audit checklist that I have that walks you through those 4 areas that I talked about, and that you can grade yourself to see where are you a little at risk. Okay, so it's going to walk you through your website, your entities, your contracts, your intellectual property. So I will send you a link to that to put into the show notes so everyone can download that.
Hear that, listeners?
Yeah, that's
a great place to start because a lot of time it answers that question. Well, where do I start? Because Nakia, I heard you say I don't know what I don't know. So how can I find out? You can download that checklist and you test and see, okay, I'm good with my website because I've got those things on there that I need to have on there, but I don't have a clue about my intellectual property. I didn't even realize I didn't think I had any intellectual property. A lot of people say that, and I say, of course you do. We all do. Of course you do. Of course you do. So I will definitely send that over to you as well.
Awesome. So we'll make sure that's in the show notes, you guys, for this particular episode. Nakia, thank you so much. Do you have something you want to close out with?
No, not really.
I think
I'm full.
I feel like I got, as soon as we finish, I'm going to my website. Like, all right, let me make sure I got it.
Because, we have the accountant side. So it's like now to, put some more pieces together. So it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. We keep saying we need like
y'all need a bell.
We need a bell. We have no props on the stage.
Normally when we close out our show, we talk about some of the books that you read, but forget about the book.
No, y'all need
we're not going to divert people to no
this
book.
Show.
We're going to let them download that checklist. Stop making excuses and make this a priority.
Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Nikki.
Thank you both so much. I really enjoyed this.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? For more information, show notes, downloads, and free resources, head to www.damianandtamisha.com, where you can find out more about this week's episode and the power couple behind it all.